What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Horby. What is going on? What? Hello? Can you guys hear me? Or is... Okay, hello? I just want to apologize to everyone. I'm sorry to everyone. I was very naive. I was very naive and very stupid and shouldn't have put other people in danger for something that was all about me and my selfish motives. I'm sorry for everything that has happened, because in spite of what everyone says now, it was my fault because it was my project. I insisted on everything. I insisted we weren't lost. I insisted keep going. I insisted we walk south. Everything had to be my way, and this is where we've ended up, and it's all because of me. We're here now, hungry and cold and hunted. I left you, Mom and Dad. I'm sorry. It was never my intention to hurt anyone. I hope that's clear. I'm so sorry. What was that?
Here's Johnny! This is God. It's showtime.
But it brings us to our current suspects. Ethan.
Hey, I'm not dead. Sorry for the super long intro. I just felt like that was a little fun thing that I wanted to do. I mean, doesn't everyone want to do the Blair Witch Project thing? I did it. I did the Blair Witch thing, okay? I did. But yes, today we're going to be going through my top 10 found footage horror movies, which if you guys know me, you guys know this is my favorite subgenre, and, or kind of the slasher movies, I'd say, for my favorite subgenre, and so I have some good opinions on them. Good as in, well, I have a lot of opinions on them. I wouldn't say they're necessarily good, because I'm sure a lot of you guys disagree. But here are my top 10 found footage movies. Coming in at number 10, I have The Visit. Yes, the M. Night Shyamalan one, so that means obviously you're going to get a big twist at the end. This one, I actually had the twist spoiled for me, so I already knew what was going to happen, but still, it was still an enjoyable watch for me. Nowhere near his best horror movie, M. Night Shyamalan, but it was still a very enjoyable watch, as I said. There's some great performances in here, some scary moments. I thought that there was some very good horror sequences in this, as well as some just good sequences in general, and I thought the twist was very well executed, despite me knowing what was going to happen. Oh, and by the way, if you guys know, I love Paranormal Activity, and I tried to hold back and only do one movie per franchise, just so that it wasn't like all Paranormal Activity movies. So, trying to do one per franchise. Otherwise, I think a couple of these would have a few. Coming in at number 9, I have Late Night with the Devil. Came out last year, and I loved this movie. I really thought it was able to capture the late night talk show vibe very well, and there was actually some very creepy, some very good moments in this movie, and I really liked a lot that it did. I loved a lot of the performances. Some of the CGI and some of the effects were not so great, and obviously there's that huge scandal with the AI like cards or whatever. I don't know, but I don't really care about that. I think it's a great movie, and I love the performances in it, and it's my number 9. Coming in at number 8, I have Host. This is kind of like become a subgenre, a subgenre of horror movies, of Zoom call horror movies. This one actually got the brand name Zoom in it, so this is legitimately a Zoom call, and it takes place during quarantine. It's like an hour long. I really enjoyed this movie. That's the thing with found footage movies, is they're usually pretty short, And this is another one that's pretty short. I think it's like an hour long. The performances are very good, and this movie was filmed during quarantine, so they're legitimately on a Zoom call here. They did a lot of their own effects, a lot of their own stunts, and I think it's a very good, well executed movie. Um, it's got some great sequences, some great horror scenes. I think it's actually genuinely scary. I think unlike they did like a science thing where it's like, oh, the scientifically most scary movies. I think this was in the top five, or it might even been one at one point. But as you guys know, Sinister is my scariest horror movie. That movie's terrifying, but this one's also pretty scary. It had some good moments in it, and I think overall the performances were pretty good. So it's gonna be number 8. I mean, at number 7, another part of that sub genre with the Zoom call, I went with Unfriended Dark Web. I think the original Unfriended would have been on here, but I like I said, I was limiting to one per franchise, and Unfriended Dark Web is just a little bit better than the original Unfriended for me, just because I think it's a little bit more realistic, a little bit more scary with the times, because it focuses on the internet and the dark web, and I thought that there was a lot of scenes that were genuinely terrifying, like the scene where the guy gets swatted. I thought was terrifying. That was like, I mean, I, especially being a YouTuber myself, not that like that would happen to me, but still that was terrifying. And a lot of the stuff that like just being on the internet can do to a person, and what could happen to you if you get on the wrong rabbit hole. And I think it's very effective. I think it was very scary, and I think again really well acted. That's the thing with found footage movies, is it's not hard to do good acting in found footage movies. So you often get some really good natural acting in these. So I think most of the time the thing that can make or break a found footage movie is the acting. So if the acting isn't good, you basically destroy the entire movie, because it's just about people living their lives most of the time, especially with Paranormal Activity, which we'll talk about later. It's just basically people living their lives with scary stuff happening. So you just have to act natural, and if you suck at that, then you could ruin the entire movie. And I think they do very well in this. They do very well in the original Unfriended, and they do very well in all of these movies. So that's gonna be my number 7. Number 6, I have VHS 2. I've only seen the original 3 VHS movies. I think Viral is god-awful. I think the first one is fine, but I did really enjoy most of the segments in VHS 2. I don't remember any of the segment names, so I can't call any of them out specifically, but there were some specific scenes that I really liked. I remember I wish I remember the names of them, honestly, but there was a few that I really, really liked. One of them had like a monster at the end of it. He's like trapped under a car and the monster gets him. That's the best way I can describe that one. That one's very good. That was the standout of that one for sure. But otherwise, yeah, I really liked a lot of the segments in this one, and I think that's just what stood out from the other 2 that I watched, where in the first VHS there was a couple of good segments, and in the third VHS there was like 1. So, but I think there's like 6 segments. I think they were all pretty solid in this one. Coming in at number 5, I have As Above, So Below. As you guys know, this is the movie that got me into horror movies. It's the first one I ever watched. Actually, I wouldn't say it's the movie that got me into horror movies. It's my first horror movie. It's the first one I ever watched. Freddy vs. Jason was the one that got me into horror movies. But yes, first horror movie I ever watched, so it has a little special place in my heart just for that. Also, I do think there's some genuinely scary moments in it, and maybe that's just because when I watched it, I had never seen another horror movie before, so it was terrifying to me. But there was especially the scene where the cameraman, I think his name is Benji, his death scene. I've always seen that as a very scary moment. It's a good jump scare. That's probably my favorite moment from the movie. But there's again some not even like jump scare moments that are very scary, some very effective scenes in this one. So even if it wasn't my first horror movie I'd ever watched, I'd still say it's a solid movie. But I think like it's a good movie, but it just makes it greater because, you know, it's my first horror movie, so I had to make the list. Coming in at number 4, we have the found footage movie, The Blair Witch Project. I parodied it in the beginning, and yeah, it is an influential movie. I think it got parodied in the original Scary Movie, so I mean, it's a big movie. I love it. It's scary. It still holds up today. I mean, obviously, if you weren't around for the marketing of this movie, where like they put up missing posters for people and they made you think it was a like legit, genuine movie, or like legit genuine footage that they edited into a movie with real people, then obviously it would have been a lot more scary at the time, but I personally wasn't around for that. So watching it after the fact, it takes away a little bit of the magic, but I still think it's a very effective movie, very scary, and I love found footage, and so I got to give credit to the first found footage movie, or the first big found footage movie, because I know like Cannibal Holocaust is that's like the first technically the first found footage movie, but this is the first one that made found footage a thing. This is the one that inspired Paranormal Activity and all the other ones that came after. So this is the most influential one. That's the word. Most influential found footage movie. Gotta give it its flowers. Coming in at number 3, I have Cloverfield. I expected to like Cloverfield going into it. It had been one I'd been wanting to watch for a while. And eventually when I got around to watching it after I bought the Blu-ray, I did. I really enjoyed it. I really like the creature feature aspect as of found footage, because usually with found footage they do like demon stuff, because then, or ghost stuff, because it's a lot easier to make found footage ghost movies, because you got like the Blair Witch Project, you got Paranormal Activity, you got Unfriended, Host, where it's just kind of, you gotta move stuff around, you gotta move, like make it look like it's moving on its own. But this is one of the few that is found footage, but there's like a lot of, it's not a demon movie, it's not a ghost movie, it's a creature movie, and you get to see the creature, the Clover, I think they call it, is the, yeah. I mean, the creature is terrifying, a lot of the stuff in this movie is terrifying, the acting is great, usually. There is a couple of scenes where the acting is a little bit iffy, but yeah, I mean, and in found footage movies, usually everybody dies, because otherwise how did they acquire the footage? So yeah, pretty much everyone dies. I think there's one girl that gets away in this one, which I thought was weird, but still really good movie. And Cloverfield, I'd say, is probably in my top 25 horror movies. I really enjoy it. As I said, I enjoy a lot of found footage horror movies, but yeah, Cloverfield stands out. And I know I said I was going to limit myself to one per franchise, but I just couldn't, because I love the Paranormal Activity series so much. So forgive me. Yes, there's 2. Yes, they are my top 2. Number 2 is Paranormal Activity 3, my second favorite Paranormal Activity movie, just because I think it does the best at recapturing the magic of the original Paranormal Activity. By the magic, I mean it recaptures the family home video feel of the original. Not that the second one doesn't, but the second one is more security cam footage. The third one goes back to the handheld camera with the family and the girls, and so you get all that. I think this is the scariest Paranormal Activity movie besides the original. It has some great scenes, especially I always remember the scene where the babysitter comes over and there's the sheet ghost like standing behind her, and she thinks it's one of the girls, and then she turns around and the sheet like falls and there's nobody there. So that's always been one of my favorite parts of the movie. Otherwise, I do like the creativeness of the oscillating fan, where it has the camera, like he takes apart a fan and sticks the camera on it, so it like does this, and it like can pan over a room, and it's basically just a security camera before security cameras existed, because they can't put in security cameras because it takes place in like the 80s, I think, so they didn't have those, so they just have the little oscillating fan going back and forth. And I really like that shot, because a lot of the times you expect, like, when it pans over here, then there's just gonna be something sitting here when it pans back, but it doesn't. So it really builds up that the dread, and you just keep expecting a jump scare, and it never comes. So I've always loved Paranormal Activity 3. Honestly, like close to the same level I love the first movie. But number 1, you knew it. Everyone knew it. Everyone who's seen any of my videos knows. My favorite found footage movie is Paranormal Activity. It is my second favorite horror movie, my third favorite movie of all time, and I love it so much because it really feels like that, you know, I know some people probably don't know what I'm talking about, but my family would always have a little camcorder that we would record ourselves on Christmas, Easter, any other, honestly, we would just record ourselves whenever we were doing something, anything, and we would record it, and then we would get it on discs, and we would get it on discs, and we would watch them together. And that has always been a huge part of my childhood and something that I will always remember and will always cherish probably. I'll probably keep those discs my whole life because they're videos of me when I was younger. So I loved doing that, and this movie is the only thing that I have ever watched that has captured what it's like to watch something through that, like to watch something like that. I mean, I know it's a horror movie and it's not like a super happy thing like what I'm picturing, but it feels very homemade, like a family camcorder, walking around, just living your life. And I like all of the stuff that it does. I think this movie is genuinely scary. I think that it is very well acted. Obviously, Mika's annoying, but you have to have one character who's a skeptic, especially when you have two characters, or I guess three characters in the entire movie if you count the demonologist who comes over. So technically three, but basically two characters. I think it's very scary. I think the ending is phenomenal. As it was in my top 15 moments in horror history. If you've watched that video, the ending was on there. I love Paranormal Activity so much. It's on the level of how much I love It 2017. Like, they're neck and neck for my favorite. But some days I prefer Paranormal Activity, some days I prefer It, but I just always say it's my favorite because it's easier. But I do love Paranormal Activity a lot, and it's my second favorite horror franchise behind Friday the 13th, and it's my number one found footage horror movie of all time. And that's going to be it for today's video. Remember, if you did enjoy, make sure to hit like and subscribe so I know you want to see more videos like it. Otherwise, you can go down below and hit the bell notification if you want to be notified when I post any brand new videos. Comment down below some more video ideas for me, and also comment if you want to see more of those little short films in the beginning, because I was thinking like maybe I should start doing those at the beginning of my rankings or my top 10s, because I really like doing that. I want to do more in the future. I did one for my Halloween Spooktacular. I did a bunch of them, little shorts, and I really enjoyed making them, and I enjoyed making this one. So if you want to see those more in the future, comment down below. I'd be happy to do some more, and I'll see you guys in the next video.